What's up, guys? These are the 3 settings that you want to play GTA 5 on your new 2013 iMac. Let's take a look. So I'm going in and I'm testing all of these different settings to find out which graphical setting is best to play GTA 5 on. Also, I'm going to show you which setting is best for the eye candy. So if you want eye candy and you still want to be able to play, I'll show you that, but I'll also show you something in between, and then I'll also show you what's the best overall FPS setting you can get without making the graphics look completely terrible.
Okay, so here are the graphical options. We got 1920 by 1080p. These are the best settings you can play the game on right now. We have FXAA, so all your anti-aliasing. Then we do the NVIDIA TXAA, which is like their own system. Vertical sync we usually keep off because it's kind of taxing on the system. Population density is max. Pretty much everything else is maxed out except for one setting here. And let's see, it's going to be motion blur. I don't really like, so I'll keep that one off. Let's see, anisotropic filtering I noticed takes a lot of FPS. Not sure why, but it just does. It makes the textures sharp from far away, but that I don't really care too much about. So we'll go ahead and we'll do the benchmark test and see how much frames per second we get. Okay, so I did this benchmark a few times and I noticed that the FPS was actually a lot lower, which is really odd. We're getting about 35, sometimes 28, 25 FPS. But when I'm actually playing the game, I literally feel like I'm getting 40, 45 FPS. Like I don't feel like I'm lagging. Like you see that FPS right there, 28, 29. That's pretty horrible for a desktop, I would say. But all things considered, for whatever reason, I think this benchmark is actually taxing the system a little too much. So keep in mind that even though this shows about 35, 30 FPS in some areas, it plays more like 40 FPS to 45, which is definitely not that bad. Also, the game defaults to a different setting. Instead of everything on like ultra and very high, it defaults to just high normally, which still looks pretty good, but I noticed I got about double the FPS with that. I'll go ahead and do a benchmark on that real quick as well to show the default settings versus the tweaked settings, because everybody's going to have a different setting they're going to want to play the game at, because they're either willing to compromise frame rates for better graphics, or because they just want more frame rate, so they'll lower the graphics even more. So it's funny because the frame rate goes up when you're actually flying in the jet. You'd think it'd go down, but apparently this game has like a special technology where it streams the game while you play. Something weird like that. But basically what I can tell you is the game is definitely playable on the 2013 iMac. Keep in mind you're not going to be able to max out the graphics, because I did try 8x anisotropic. It was running at like 10 frames per second. That one's just pretty taxing because, like I said earlier, it makes those textures extremely sharp from far away. So see how the FPS jumps to like 40-ish to 38-ish when you're driving around? See, that's kind of more what kind of frame rates you'll actually be getting while you're playing. Which is weird because on some games, if you're getting 35 frames, it'll feel really glitchy and laggy. While other games that are optimized to run at lower frame rates, they won't feel nearly as laggy. So that's kind of how the consoles run at like 30 FPS, 35 FPS, and still feel smooth on a console. You don't always get the same results in PC gaming. Damn, this guy's a freaking monster. Alright, so that concludes that particular demo. I'll have another one up here with slightly different graphical settings. Like the video, guys, if you enjoyed it, and if you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to say anything. Alright, guys, so this next graphical setting is going to be geared towards the people that want the most frame rates out of their game. So earlier you saw me, I wanted the eye candy, I had everything on high, And so for me it's playable, but some people, they're gonna want like maybe 50, 60 plus FPS. So here's my recommendation for those people. You can leave your resolution at 1920 by 1080 because I mean you want decently high resolution. We're gonna leave the anisotropic on because this particular 780M, it can handle the anisotropic just fine. The things that it probably can't handle as well are going to be like the texture quality and a few other things. So let's take a look. See here, I'm going to put this on high. Reflection quality, that probably didn't take up that much, but I'll still put it on high either way. Reflection, I'll just put that on 4x. Water quality, particle quality, okay, grass quality. So this setting right here, NVIDIA PCSS, this is a special setting that makes shadows look really, really good. Nobody has really talked about this yet, but basically shadows taper off at the end to give them a certain look that just looks really, really nice. I think I'll leave this one on for now, but I'll do a quick test to show you how much more extra FPS you get with this off, because I think this is what's eating the majority of my frames right now. Okay, tessellation, that also kind of eats up some frames. Okay, so I'm going to apply changes. Okay, so looks like we get about an additional 10 frames, 10 to 8 frames from going from very high to high graphical settings. And again, in areas like these where you're like hovering around over like, I don't know, foresty areas or city areas, it's definitely going to display less FPS. When you're actually driving around, you get like literally 10 extra FPS. So we'll show you that in a second here. But at least areas like these run a lot smoother. So in most cases, I think most people probably aren't going to tell the difference between, you know, ultra, very high, and high graphics. So at the end of the day, if you just want to put your settings to whatever gives you the right frame rate that you're okay with, just go ahead and do that. But just know, I'm pretty anal with how the graphics are set up, so I always end up tweaking them. So. An additional 10 FPS, I would say, is pretty much almost worth it. I might even try playing the game at this current setting now and see how well I enjoy it, because I've played at pretty much the maxed out setting from my earlier gaming test, and I pretty much enjoyed it because I like those high settings, but occasionally you're going to want to tweak it yourself, see what kind of FPS you'll get. So it looks like when you're driving, you're getting a good solid 40. It dips a little bit every now and then, but still pretty good. So the last thing we're going to change here is going to be the soft shadows. I'm going to put it onto softer instead of having it run at the NVIDIA PCSS setting. So softer was the setting it defaulted to when I first ran the game. Let's take a look here. Okay, so changing the shadow render quality from the NVIDIA setting to the softer setting gets you about an extra 8 FPS. Just pretty good, all things considered. If you do that and then lower your textures down to about high, that's actually pretty good. I do recall the default settings didn't have those two settings enabled, and the game did run really, really well. Also, make sure your drivers are up to date too, because when I first installed the game, my drivers were actually from 2013. I did boot camp, and boot camp grabbed me old drivers, so that was great. But the game was stuttering exceptionally bad, so keep in mind you want those drivers updated. The game still looks pretty gorgeous, believe it or not. Did a pretty good job with it. Okay. So with the 780M graphics chip that you have in this computer, put everything on high and lower the shadow quality to softer, and I mean the game's still going to look gorgeous, and you're going to basically be running at a solid 40 FPS. It'll jump to about 50, 55, 60 when you're inside buildings. We'll take a look here what it's like when you're actually driving around the vehicle here in just a sec. But from the results now that I'm seeing, I can tell you that it's going to be pretty good when you're driving around the vehicle. Okay, looks like my prediction was right, about 50 to 60-ish. So with my first graphical setting, I had pretty much all the graphics maxed out. We're getting about 30 to 35 FPS while driving. Now it's definitely get a lot more. So this is definitely the setting I recommend for the people that want highest FPS.
Also, if you enjoyed the video, consider subscribing. I'm trying to get some more subscribers, so it'd be really nice if you guys subscribe. Thank you for watching. If you want me to test a specific game, leave the comment down below, and I'll get it done for you. And yeah, cheers.